numerologist community. Thank you once again for joining Kelly Fox and I for another episode of our new and full moon series. Now, this week we are talking about the full moon in Pisces, which is on the 1st and 2nd of September, depending on where you are in the world. So, Kelly, what's this full moon got in store for us?
Hi, Rose. So the full moon in Pisces. So each month we have a full moon, and it means that the little earth is in between the big sun and I guess the littler moon. But in this case, the influence of the moon's pretty big. So it's like a tug of war with a full moon between the moon and the sun. Of course, we all know the sun is much more powerful, but, the moon being our Earth's satellite. So what it means when it's in Pisces is it's a very emotional, intuitive, psychic, caring, compassionate moon. And some of us do need to be careful though, because, a lot of us that are drawn into these realms are are empaths. So we've got to be careful not to pick up the emotions and feelings and energy of those around us. And, especially if, you've the term energy vampire, which I think we used a few interviews back, but we've got to be very careful about the energy that we're picking up and who we're associating with, because the energy of this full moon is, it's about not having boundaries in some ways. And I don't just mean physical boundaries, I mean psychic boundaries, emotional boundaries, and what have you. And so the interesting thing is with this particular sun and moon, the sun being in Virgo, the moon being in Pisces, both of those signs are very much of being of service or, helping humankind, helping other people. It's not just about ourselves anymore. It's definitely about other people. And what's really, really fascinating with this full moon is it involves Neptune. And let me show you on screen with the chart wheel here what it looks like. So this is what I was saying here. This is the sun in Virgo and it's opposite the moon in Pisces. And so that's the opposition there. So full moons are always about finding the balance. And if you are a mutable sign or have any planets in mutable signs, and that's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, this is very much about finding a balance. Might be a little bit challenging at this time. It's good because, you've heard all those myths, Rose, about, full moons and werewolves howling at the moon. And I don't know, I forget all the others, but, there's a lot of myths around the full moon, people going a bit crazy, but really the full moon is like a giant mirror in the sky. It's projecting our own behaviors back to us from other people. So just keep that in the back of your mind, like, oh, I don't like the behavior of this person. Well, because, we all have a shadow side that we don't care for or we don't want to acknowledge. Now, the fascinating thing with this full moon is that the moon is conjunct or together with Neptune. Now, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So Neptune is the planetary ruler of this full moon. So it's sort of like coming in, standing next to the full moon and in some ways protecting it and in some ways amplifying the energies of this Pisces moon. So a Pisces moon is all about, as I said, it's like care and compassion and intuitive abilities and creativity. It's trusting and using our instincts. Now, we've all been blessed with psychic ability. It's really up to us, our free will, on how we choose to use the psychic abilities we've been blessed with. So this full moon could give definitely a boost to, to our own psychic abilities. Pay attention to our dreams at this time. It's going to be really important. Now, the other planet that's involved with this full moon is Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of surprise. Now, we had this with the new moon, and it's again with the full moon. So Uranus is a planet of the unexpected and surprise. So it comes together in a very, very nice angle to the moon and Neptune. So in other words, there's going to be some pleasant surprises. And the good thing is that Uranus is currently in Taurus, which gives us, or gives the full moon, a very nice grounding influence, or a very nice grounding effect. Because otherwise, if there wasn't any Earth, like these 3 planets up here that are wreaking havoc on us all year, Earth gives us that grounding, the groundedness that we need. Because otherwise, with this Pisces full moon, with the involvement of Neptune, we'd be floating away like helium balloons. But with the very nice sextile with Uranus, it's like there's going to be some pleasant surprises that really help ground us and really help us be able to use our psychic abilities at this time in a very grounded way. So, so that's the good news with this full moon at this time. You know, it's going to be reflecting others' surprisingly nice, caring behavior back to us.
Absolutely. And whenever I think about a Pisces new moon, I always see this, you know, ethereal kind of gentle floating,
Yes.
you know, aspect to it. It's really, it's a really generally a nice full moon, obviously depending on what aspects are going on at the same time. But one
Yes.
thing I want to ask you, so with Uranus and Neptune being involved, they're still retrograde, right? At this point.
Yes.
So does that have any significance on what's going on right now?
It does and it doesn't. Now, I have to say that what I've been talking about a lot is, you know, astrologers call Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto the outer planets. So when those 3 planets are retrograde, which they are for half the time, it's not a big deal. But given the state of affairs of 2020, it's like everything is involved. Everything counts at the moment. So yes, when they're retrograde, particularly with the Neptune being so close and the ruler of the full moon, it's about the past. So retrograde means the past. So what it means technically is, from our viewpoint here on Earth, the planets look like they're moving backwards when they're retrograde around the sun. In their orbit around the sun, they look like they're moving backwards. Technically, the planets never move backwards. They just slow down. So what the planets do is, when they're orbiting around the sun, they go at different speeds. So when they're retrograde, they're moving forward, but at their slowest speed. But from where we are, it looks like they're going backwards. So the interpretation of a retrograde means the energy can either be internalized, or it means the energy goes backwards, or it also means that something from the past needs to be reviewed or reconsidered before we can move forward, or before the planet turns forward again. So the significance of Neptune being retrograde as the ruler of this full moon, it's going to be important. All those keywords that I used before, like you know, psychic abilities and care and compassion, empath, and those types of things, creativity. Look to the past for things that have been successful for you, and then incorporate those into the present so you can move forward with the skill set that you already know and are familiar with. Because, you know, the future is always changing day by day. And so with this regard, it's like, you know, we're not just the now, we're the past, present, and we're going to be the future. So that's really what these retrograde energies are all about. So yes, they are quite significant at this time. And I noticed something else here, because, you know, I'm just looking at the chart wheel as I'm talking to you, but I'm looking also at the aspect grid. And so what that tells me here is the relationship, or the connections, or the geometry between, you know, the planets here. And what I'm seeing is that the involvement of Mercury, planet of communication, is pulled in widely to this full moon as well. So that tells me that communication might get a little bit muddled at this time. Thankfully, we don't have a Mercury retrograde, but communication, even though Mercury is in Virgo, which is a very, very sharp, quick, clever, brilliant placement for Mercury, with the opposition to Neptune, that could confuse some things. And because of the moon is emotional. So this is telling me straight away that people's emotions might be clouding their logic and reasoning during this full moon as well. And I have to say again or reiterate, especially if you're a mutable sign or have planets in mutable signs, and that's Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces.
I think something that you said there is really important to pick up on as well. You were mentioning about, you know, the retrogrades, meaning we should look towards the past to sort of move forward for the future. And that's a good message in that, you know, with these new and full moons, we're constantly searching for that new thing we need to grab from it. And it doesn't always need to be like that. You know, we can find treasures in the past to take us to the future, right?
Absolutely. I love that. I'm going to use that.
Copyright,
really
no jokes.
That's really good. That is perfect, because, you know, so many of us want to leave the past behind. And I'm looking now here at this placement of Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries is like gung-ho, we're going for it, we're moving forward. But I have to say, next week, Mars is turning retrograde. So I'm going to be going on about that, you know, next time. With Mars retrograde and how that plays into everything that's going on. So the past, it's like, you know, Cancer is a sign of the past, Cancer the crab. So Cancer the crab appreciates the past, you know, and right now, love planet Venus is in Cancer. So, you know, like there's a connection to the past right there. So it is going to make, and it's in Cancer, which is a fellow water sign, like up here with the moon and Neptune in Pisces, fellow water sign. So it's like there will be a strong connection to the past. The supporting retrograde planets, you know, Uranus and Neptune, do help with that. So yes, that is an indicator very much so that it's going to be easier to access the past to help us with the future and of course the now or the current situation. So it's like, yeah, definitely tap into the past that can help us, you know, with the lessons of the sweet, as you said, the sweet Pisces moon. And I have to say, Rose, every time I think of Pisces, I think of mermaids.
Absolutely. And my sun sign is Pisces as well, so I'm
Lovely.
specifically attached to it.
Lovely.
Now, we've spoken about a few different energies and a few different things that are going on during this full moon, but let's just sum things up. If you were going to sum things up for this full moon, how would you describe it?
Trust your instincts.
Absolutely.
Trust your instincts, care and compassion on a global scale. I know we have been doing that this year. I know that. But the thing is, the outer planets, and again, it's Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, represent the consciousness, or the global consciousness, or the collective consciousness. Outer planets always represent that. Outer planets represent the things that are bigger than just us. I mean, we have those influences in our own individual lives, in our own natal charts, but it's really the collective consciousness and care and compassion, and how we will very much, as we have done mostly, how we will very much be coming together, and we will be thinking not just of ourselves, but of everyone else. And that is what the energy of Pisces is so good at. That is what the energy of Cancer, the crab, Venus, planet of love in Cancer, is so good at. You know, Cancer, the crab, is the caretaker of the zodiac. And when it comes together with Venus, the planet of love, and then you put that together with, you know, this full moon in Pisces, you know, its ruler being Neptune, the ultimate planet of care and compassion and, you know, connection, faith, belief, hope, you know, that sort of thing, with a grounding, an unexpected groundedness from Uranus in Taurus.
Awesome, wonderful. So in that, keeping in that theme with the trust your instincts, what I want to invite our numerologist community to do is comment below with what their instincts are telling them, because sometimes it's a little bit difficult to actually trust them on your own and believe that you've got it. So comment below what your instincts are telling you, and we will support you. Our community will give you that boost you need to be able to trust them. All right, Kelli, thank you once again. We will see you next time, where we'll be talking about the next new moon. I ask you this at the end of every segment, but what's the next new moon? New moon in Virgo. So stay tuned for that. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Rose. Bye.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more readings and forecasts every single week. Head to the description now for your free numerology reading and to view our latest blogs.